The warehouse was silent, but not really. It had that quiet that felt like it was holding its breath, waiting. Alex's footsteps echoed against the cold concrete floor, a hollow rhythm in the cavernous space. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered, stuttering like a hesitant heartbeat, casting long, jittering shadows across stacks of dusty crates. Then came the sound, a faint scrape, soft enough to be dismissed but wrong. It wasn't the hum of the machines. It wasn't the shift change chatter from the main office. It was closer, deliberate. Alex froze, pulse hammering, gripping the flashlight tighter. A whisper slithered through the darkness. "Don't look." The beam of light trembled as Alex scanned the aisles. Nothing. Only shadows that seemed too deep, too eager to hide something. A sudden clang echoed from the far corner. Metal striking metal. The radio crackled violently, static filling the silence, until a voice distant and hollow seeped through. "You shouldn't be here." Alex swallowed hard. Nerves, exhaustion, it had to be. Yet every instinct screamed that it wasn't. A cold draft brushed the back of the neck, carrying the faint smell of rust and something sweeter, metallic. Something alive. The flashlight flickered again, and in the brief darkness, Alex saw it. A figure impossible to place, vanishing behind a stack of crates that hadn't moved a second ago. Heart in throat, breath quickening, Alex stepped forward. The lights snapped off completely. The warehouse wasn't empty. And now it was waiting. Alex's flashlight sputtered, throwing jagged beams across the warehouse floor. Every step echoed like a drum in a cavern, bouncing off the stacks of crates and steel shelves. The smell of damp cardboard and machine oil was strong, almost choking in its familiarity, yet now it carried something alien, a faint, coppery tang that made the back of Alex's throat dry. The figure was gone. Or at least Alex told themselves it was. Just a trick of the light. Just exhaustion. A single shift too many. Yet the air remained heavy, oppressive, as if the darkness itself was pressing in. Alex crouched by the crates where the shadow had vanished, dragging a hand across the dusty surface. The dust lifted in tiny clouds, motes dancing in the weak flashlight beam, but there were no footprints. None that weren't already covered by dust. Yet something had been there. Something had moved. A faint creak came from above, the ceiling catwalk. Alex's stomach tensed. They had walked these aisles hundreds of times, night after night. Every squeak, every groan of metal, was predictable. Tonight, nothing felt predictable. Probably just the old building settling, Alex muttered, voice too loud in the stillness. But even as the words left their mouth, a whisper curled around them, soft and deliberate. "You shouldn't be alone." Alex froze. Heart hammering, sweat prickling at the nape of their neck. The words had come from nowhere and everywhere at once. Whirling the flashlight, Alex scanned the warehouse. Nothing moved, nothing stirred, except the shadows lengthening, twitching as if alive. The radio on their belt crackled suddenly, static slicing through the tense quiet. Alex yanked it free. "Hello? Anyone there?" Silence. Then a whisper, distant and hollow. "Help me." Alex stumbled backward, blinking. The beam of the flashlight flickered wildly, then steadied. Boxes in the far corner seemed shifted. One had toppled slightly, though Alex was certain it had been upright a moment ago. They stepped forward, cautious, fingers grazing the rough cardboard. The crate didn't move under touch. Yet the air felt heavier here, pressing closer, constricting. Minutes passed. Or maybe seconds. Time itself felt distorted, stretching in the darkness. Alex forced a shaky laugh. "You're overthinking. Too many shifts. Too little sleep." But then the whisper came again, closer this time. "Alex, why are you here?" Cold crawled over Alex's skin. The voice knew their name. How could it know their name? Every instinct screamed to leave, run to the door and never return. But something, a stubborn part of them, pushed forward. Curiosity, duty, foolishness. They rounded a corner and stopped dead. The warehouse aisle ahead looked wrong. Shelves warped in angles that didn't exist before, shadows pooling where light had always hit. The faint outline of the figure was there again, barely perceptible, just beyond the light, as if it had been waiting. Alex's breath caught. "Who's there?" Alex demanded, voice breaking, trembling. Silence, then the faint scuff of something moving against concrete. A hand, pale, unnaturally long fingers, pressed lightly against a crate and disappeared. No sound of footsteps. No hint of weight. Just the ghostly imprint of movement that shouldn't exist. Alex's mind raced. Night shifts were always lonely, quiet, isolating. But isolation wasn't supposed to feel this alive. The building had been empty when they arrived. Empty and silent. Yet now it felt watched. Every shadow seemed to twitch in anticipation. Every flicker of light hinted at something just beyond perception. A sudden metallic clang echoed from the far end of the warehouse, loud enough to make Alex jump. The flashlight swung wildly, illuminating empty space. Boxes. Shelves. Dust. Nothing until a whisper curled around the edges of the echo. "You shouldn't have come." The words chilled Alex to the bone. There was no mistaking them. No rational explanation. The figure wasn't human, wasn't living, wasn't bound by the rules of the world Alex knew. And yet it existed. Alex's fingers grazed the handle of the door to the small storage office at the end of the aisle. It was locked. Always locked. Always boringly mundane. Tonight, the lock rattled. Not forced, not broken. Just rattled lightly, as if someone or something was on the other side, testing it. Alex's breath came in shallow, rapid gasps. Heart thrumming. They stepped back, flashlight trembling in hand. The warehouse felt suddenly infinite, the shadows deeper, heavier, closer. Every instinct screamed to leave. Every fiber of their being wanted to run. Yet their feet moved forward, drawn to the locked office like a moth to flame. Something about that door. It called to them, and in that call lay a promise or a threat. Alex could feel it in their bones, in the tightening in their chest. Whatever waited behind that door was no longer willing to remain hidden. A low, hollow whisper, almost a growl now, reached into the air around Alex. "Open it, or stay forever." And as their trembling hand closed around the doorknob, the warehouse lights flickered violently, throwing everything into shadows again. Alex's flashlight died. Darkness swallowed them entirely. They weren't alone. Alex's hand shook as they turned the doorknob. The office door yielded smoothly, as if it had been waiting for them all along. Inside, the air was colder, heavier, carrying a metallic tang that stung the nose. The room was small, lined with filing cabinets, old machinery, and boxes stacked haphazardly. But something was off. The shadows stretched at impossible angles, bending the familiar geometry of the room. The flashlight flickered back to life. Dust motes floated like tiny specters in the beam, disturbed by the faint, almost imperceptible draft. Alex stepped inside, heart hammering, every sense screaming that the room should have been mundane, but it wasn't. A stack of old employee files caught Alex's attention. They pulled one out. Dates from decades ago, faded names, some crossed out in red ink. One file, labeled Missing Night Shift, made Alex pause. A chill rolled down their spine as they scanned the report. A young guard had vanished without a trace one night, decades earlier, leaving only his radio and a cryptic note. "Don't let them see you." A soft creak made Alex spin. Nothing. Just the cold, silent room. The whispering had returned, faint and serpentine, curling around the walls. "You shouldn't be here." Alex swallowed. I just need to check the logs. That's all." But even as the words left their mouth, doubt crept in. The voice knew their name. And the figure, the one they glimpsed before, had vanished and reappeared at will. The rest of the night became a series of small, unnerving events, each one chipping away at Alex's grip on reality. Alex passed a stack of crates only to notice a box that had been perfectly aligned was now leaning. They reached out. It was heavy and unmoved. Yet something had nudged it. The radio picked up static, then faint voices. Names, warnings, echoes of past shifts. "Don't look behind you. He's here." Security monitors began to glitch. A shadow moved across one feed, just outside the range of the light. When Alex leaned closer, it disappeared. A call came through. Alex picked up. Silence. Then a whisper. "Leave before it finds you." They slammed the receiver down. Something shifted under Alex's feet. A draft, a vibration, subtle but undeniable. The building, once ordinary, felt alive. Breathing. Waiting. As Alex rifled through old files, searching for rational explanations, a pattern emerged. Night shift workers had vanished over decades, always in the same warehouse section. Rumors spoke of a restless spirit or cursed object hidden somewhere within the warehouse, something that drew the living into the shadows. Alex pieced together fragments. In 1974, a security guard disappeared. Coworkers reported shadow figures moving against the light. In 1989, a janitor went missing, leaving behind only his mop and a note. "It knows my name." In 2001, a temp worker vanished from the storage floor. The official report blamed fatigue. The stories were dismissed at the time. But now, faced with the shifting shadows and whispers, Alex realized these weren't coincidences. Something hunted night shift workers. Something patient. Something that learned. Alex called the night manager from the office phone. "Hey, I think something's wrong here. There's, I don't know, movement, whispers, shadows." A pause. Then, "Manager." "Alex. I know. Just don't go near the back aisles. Just finish your shift." "Alex. The files, they tell a different story. People vanish. It's real." "Manager," voice tight, almost a whisper, "you don't know what you're dealing with. Don't look for it. Don't name it. Just stay alive." The line went dead. Alex's stomach churned. Time became meaningless. One moment, Alex was near the office. The next, the aisle seemed endless, stretching impossibly far. Shadows grew taller, bending around corners that shouldn't exist. Boxes leaned impossibly, then snapped back upright when approached. Alex began hearing footsteps. Slow, deliberate, never approaching, never receding. Every corner held a hint of a figure. Every flicker of light hinted at watching eyes. The mind strained to distinguish reality from imagination, yet the signs were undeniable. The warehouse was alive, and it hated intrusion. The whispers became coherent, fragmented. "You see me. He waits, we wait, all night. Do not leave." Alex began questioning everything. Each noise, each shadow, even their own senses. Was the figure real? Or a hallucination born of fear? Alex recalled stories told by older night shift workers before leaving. The missing guard in 74 had mentioned a door that wasn't there before. The janitor in 89 had said, "It follows your name but never shows its face fully." The temp in 2001 whispered, "I saw the warehouse breathe." Alex shook their head. Rational thought clashed with the growing dread. Yet as they glanced at a stack of crates, a new sight froze them. A faint outline of a door in the floor. Small, circular, almost invisible, with scratches around it as if something had tried to claw its way out. The whisper came again. "It's waiting." The fluorescents overhead stutter, then black out for a long second, plunging Alex into darkness. When they regain vision, shadows have shifted. The figure appears nearer, its form ambiguous, elongating unnaturally. Crates that were stacked neatly now lie toppled. The sound of metal scraping concrete comes from nowhere and everywhere simultaneously. Whispers and murmurs blend with machinery hum, creating a maddening symphony. Occasionally, one distinct phrase pierces the chaos. "He sees you, he knows." The floor panel glints under Alex's flashlight. A strange warmth seems to radiate from it, contradicting the chill in the air. Every instinct screams to turn away. Yet they are drawn. Alex mutters to themselves, voice trembling. "It can't be real. It has to be." A whisper curls around them, almost amused. "It is. And it waits for you." Alex's hands shake. The flashlight beam darts across the room, catching fleeting glimpses of movement. Long fingers, a silhouette that twists unnaturally, vanishing when focused on directly. They stumble backward, knocking over a box. The sound reverberates, then silence. Except for the faintest scraping, like fingernails on concrete, coming from the hidden door. By now, Alex is exhausted, terrified, mind stretched thin by paranoia and unrelenting horror. They realize that the warehouse isn't just haunted. It lives, it remembers, it hunts. The figure, whatever it is, has been waiting decades for someone exactly like Alex. The floor door seems to breathe under their gaze. Shadows pool around it, waiting. The whispers crescendo. Open it, or stay forever. Alex grips the flashlight tighter, hand trembling, knowing that crossing this threshold will change everything. The rational mind screams to run, yet an irresistible pull drags them forward. And in the distance, from the depths of the dark aisles, a faint metallic clang echoes, a sound like a heartbeat, slow and deliberate, signaling that whatever waits below is ready. Alex takes a deep breath. One step forward. The warehouse swallows them whole. Alex's hand trembled on the floor panel. The metal was cold, slick, almost pulsing under their touch. The whispers had grown into a chorus. Low, urgent, pleading, and accusing all at once. The warehouse above was quiet now, deceptively still, as if it were holding its breath, waiting for the inevitable. Heart pounding, Alex forced the panel open. A faint, cold gust rose from the darkness below, carrying a smell that made their stomach churn. Damp earth, rust, and something sweet. Sweet like blood. They flicked the flashlight into the hole. A narrow, descending staircase stretched into the black. Each step seemed alive, breathing with anticipation. Alex swallowed hard. Their rational mind screamed to leave, but every instinct, every ounce of curiosity and morbid compulsion, drove them downwards. Step by step, the warehouse above faded from sight, leaving only the darkness, the whispers, and a growing sense of inescapable doom. The stairs ended at a heavy wooden door. It was old, warped, and covered in scratches. Not random, deliberate claw marks. Alex hesitated, hand hovering over the handle. The whispers crescendoed into a single distinct voice, clear as day. Open it, or stay forever. The door groaned as Alex pushed it open. Inside, the room was impossible. The walls seemed to pulse subtly, breathing in rhythm with the whispers. Shadows gathered in the corners, dense and amorphous, shifting like living smoke. The air was thick, almost viscous, making each breath a struggle. And then Alex saw it, a figure, vaguely humanoid but twisted, impossibly tall, its limbs bending in wrong directions. Its face was hidden in shadows, yet Alex could feel it watching, studying, knowing. Alex. Who, what are you? Figure, voice like scraping metal, I am the night. The watcher. The one who waits. You belong to this place now. The words echoed through the room, vibrating through Alex's chest. Fear surged, freezing them in place. The figure shifted closer, and for the first time, Alex saw its form fully. Elongating, stretching, impossibly fluid. Fingers ended in sharp points that scraped the floor without making a sound. Alex stumbled backward. The room seemed to stretch. One moment, the far wall was a few feet away. The next, it felt like the end of an endless tunnel. Shadows elongated and flickered, throwing shapes that defied logic. The whispers overlapped with the sound of their own heartbeat, loud, uneven, threatening to burst from their chest. Alex. I'm leaving. I'm leaving now. The figure stopped. Silence. The air shifted, heavy and oppressive. The shadows began to close in, slithering along the walls like dark water. Doors, which Alex didn't even see before, slammed shut around them, echoing like gunshots. The room was no longer rectangular. It was infinite, folding in on itself. Figure. There is no leaving, only watching, only knowing. Alex's mind snapped. Reality bent and twisted. The walls pulsed, the shadows stretched impossibly, and whispers merged into a chorus of familiar names. The missing guards, the janitors, the temps, all warning, pleading, accusing. Alex tried to run, but the floor beneath them warped like liquid. The figure glided effortlessly across the room, each step silent, deliberate, closing the distance. Alex swung the flashlight. The beam sliced through the darkness but did nothing to illuminate the figure. Alex, screaming, stop. Stay back. The figure tilted its head, a motion that was human and not human at the same time. The shadows around it writhed, twisting into vague shapes of limbs reaching toward Alex. Each whisper in the room sharpened into intelligible phrases. "You can't escape. You are ours. We see you. We know your fear." Alex's flashlight flickered and died. Darkness consumed them, but the figure's presence was undeniable. A heat, a weight, a suffocating pressure. Alex fell to their knees, hands clutching ears to block the whispers, but it was useless. The room itself seemed alive, every inch watching, bending, consuming. Time fractured. Alex couldn't tell seconds from hours. One moment, they were kneeling. The next, standing in a different corner of the room, confronted again by the same figure, as if they had been teleported. Reality no longer obeyed the laws of physics. Alex, voice breaking, "Please. Just let me go." The figure leaned closer. Its voice became a chorus, layered, overwhelming. "You should have left when you could, but now, you belong." Alex's thoughts scrambled. Faces of missing workers flashed before their eyes, their own reflection twisted into a hollow-eyed version of themselves, screaming silently. Every attempt to escape only brought Alex closer to the figure. Walls bent, floors folded, doors led back to the same space. The whispers became unbearable, repeating one simple terrifying phrase. "There is no leaving." Alex's knees buckled. The figure loomed over them. Its long pointed fingers reached out, and just as they thought it would touch, it paused. Alex's vision tunneled, chest tight, mind fracturing, until they could no longer distinguish self from shadow. "Figure. You came here willingly, foolish mortal." "Alex. I didn't know. I just wanted to finish my shift." "Figure. That is the problem with the living. They think they have control." The room shuddered as if laughing at Alex's defiance. Shadows reached into the air, thickening, pressing closer. The whispers of past victims layered over Alex's own voice. "We told you. We warned you." Alex tried to back away, and the staircase they had descended vanished, leaving only black void where the exit should have been. Every light flickered and died, plunging the room into total darkness. The figure became indistinguishable from the shadows, yet Alex could feel it moving, closing in, bending reality around them. Alex, whispering, sobbing, "No. Please. Let me leave." Figure. Voice layered with all past victims, "Leave? There is no leaving. Only joining. Only becoming." Asterisk. The shadows enveloped Alex. For a moment time stood still. Silence pressed against every sense. Then, the whispers surged, filling the mind with memories that were not theirs. Screams, vanishings, despair. Alex's consciousness trembled, unraveling as reality itself collapsed around them. Alex fell forward into the darkness, the last ounce of defiance gone. Their flashlight shattered underfoot. The figure's presence pressed from every angle, whispers seeping into their skull, bending perception. Every exit, every familiar corner, every piece of solid floor became fluid, alien. And then, a single quiet thought echoed in Alex's mind. "This is forever." The room, the warehouse, the shadows, they consumed Alex fully. There was no struggle, only awareness, stretching into infinity, as whispers became a chorus of the damned. "Welcome to the night shift. Forever." Silence followed, heavier than the darkness. The warehouse was silent. Not the kind of silence that comes from emptiness, but the kind that presses against the ears, heavy and cold, leaving a taste of iron in the mouth. Dust settled on the crates, still and unmoving. The fluorescent lights overhead flickered once, then steadied, casting a pale, sterile glow across the vast empty space. Alex didn't move. Not because they were afraid, not because they couldn't, but because they weren't entirely there. Parts of them remained below, trapped in that endless room, consumed by shadows and whispers that folded reality into itself. Their body, flesh and bone, slumped in the office doorway, staring blankly at the stacks of crates, face pale, eyes vacant. Time passed, but it no longer mattered. The world outside the warehouse carried on, oblivious. A security guard arrived the next morning for the day shift. calling out into the cavernous space. "Hello? Anyone here?" Only silence replied. The manager, alerted by Alex's absence in the morning log, walked the aisles, calling their name. The files, the radios, the empty boxes, all perfectly ordinary. No sign of struggle, no evidence of horror. Just Alex's flashlight shattered on the floor, a faint scuff mark where they had fallen, and the lingering smell of rust and something sweet that refused to dissipate. Later the police would arrive. They would write reports. They would search, question, and speculate. Exhaustion, stress, hallucinations. All the logical explanations lined up neatly. Nothing about that night would ever make sense to anyone outside the warehouse. Not the flickering shadows. Not the whispers. Not the hidden door that no one else had seen. Alex's colleagues whispered in hushed tones in the break room. Night shift. Never the same after midnight. You're imagining things. The warehouse is old. Drafts, wiring, shadows. Some people never come back, you know. No one believed the same way Alex had. No one felt the lingering weight of something that was alive, patient, and waiting for the next shift to arrive. Lingering psychological horror. Alex remained alive in body, but the experience had fractured their mind. Small, subtle details now carried immense weight. Every shadow seemed too long. Every whisper on the radio seemed deliberate. Every creak in the floorboards felt like a message. Even outside the warehouse, the world seemed to bend and twist, reflecting the memory of the place below. They tried to sleep. Dreams were impossible. Nightmares invaded even in waking hours. Shadowy corridors folding into themselves, whispers that sounded like their own name, boxes that toppled of their own accord. Friends and family noticed the change. Hollow eyes, jittery hands, a distant stare. Questions went unanswered. Alex couldn't explain. How could they? The warehouse had claimed a part of them, and it was patient. It waited for the cracks in attention, the moments of fatigue, the wandering curiosity. Every glance over the shoulder felt like the entity watching, waiting for the next opportunity. Subtle horror in everyday life. Weeks later, Alex returned to the warehouse, officially for paperwork. The door to the hidden room was gone, sealed beneath a fresh layer of concrete. Yet the air felt heavier, oppressive, almost alive. A faint metallic tang lingered. Shadows stretched unusually in the corners, just enough to unsettle, just enough to make Alex's pulse spike. Even outside at home, the terror persisted. Small things unsettled Alex. The hum of electronics distorted into whispers. Shadows moved against walls at odd angles. Random cold drafts brushed the neck in empty rooms. A fleeting glimpse of a figure in a darkened hallway, always at the periphery. Alex's life continued, but nothing was ordinary anymore. Fear was no longer tied to the warehouse. It had seeped into every space, every silent moment. A night shift had ended decades ago for others, but for Alex, it had never ended. Final chilling image. On a rainy evening, Alex passed a convenience store on the way home. Through the glass, they saw a security guard, young, nervous, working the night shift at a nearby warehouse. Alex froze. Shadows pooled behind the guard, stretching unnaturally. The guard's radio crackled with static. A whisper, faint but unmistakable, reached Alex's ears. "We're still waiting." The streetlights flickered. The rain fell harder. A figure, pale, impossibly tall, emerged from the shadows behind the store, indistinct but undeniably there. Alex blinked. When they looked again, it was gone. A shiver ran down their spine. A realization settled in like ice. The warehouse had not ended. It never ended. The shift, the horror, the waiting, it was eternal. Alex's reflection in a puddle shimmered. For a heartbeat, the eyes looking back were not their own. Hollow, empty, watching. The whispers returned, now soft, almost a lullaby. Welcome back to the night shift. Forever. And in that silence, Alex understood. Some doors, once opened, never truly close. Some horrors never leave. Some nights never end.